This is Stacie from The Key to Soul Awakening. Welcome back to my channel. It is the key to soul awakening because Key, C-A-Y, is an island in the tropics, and I am living my dream in the tropics. How cool is this chair? This video, the basics of soul awakening. Before we move on, how about you subscribe to my channel and click that like button so I know that you want to hear more about soul awakenings and the process, and leave me a comment with any questions that you have. All right, here we go. All right, the first one that I wanted to go over with you is called the life path or the life plan. And I mentioned it in my first video, and it occurred to me that maybe I need to discuss this a little more. There might be some viewers out there that don't understand what I'm talking about. I did grow up Catholic all the way from little on up through college. I do believe in Jesus and God. I believe in all the religions. Honestly, they all have a basis in truth. And if you've done any sort of theological study, you'll know that there is so many crossover threads that is the same with all the religions that it can't not be true. I don't call myself Catholic anymore. I don't identify with any religion. I call myself spiritual, even though I do absolutely believe in Jesus and Muhammad, and Gandhi and all of these people that are just wonderful beings that were on earth to help us learn. Anyway, so before we get to this earth, we're born to parents that we actually chose. Yes, I chose my parents. That was probably the hardest thing for me to grasp during this whole process, because when I found that out and I had to digest that, I said to Holly, my best friend, why would I choose people who are so awful to me and put me in situations from little on up that I probably shouldn't have been in? And that was a question I'm still exploring. I know much more of the answer to that now. But before I was born, before all of us were born, we went through an extensive search of what we wanted to learn this time in our lives. We've all had many, many, many past lives on this planet, on other planets, and other universes, and other dimensions. We can get more into that much later. But keep in mind that this planet is not the only one that we've all had lives on. So when we decided to come to Earth, we said we talked to our soul groups, and I'll get to that. The next step is soul groups. So we talked to the people up in, I'm going to call it heaven just for ease. And we said, okay, here's what we want to do. This is what I want to do in my life. And everybody in our soul group got together in a room, or it's easy enough to say a room or two, to translate it to Earth terms. And when I said, I'm looking to have a father, and I gave these attributes, several people stepped forward. Several souls stepped forward and said, I have some other things to learn that I think your description of what you need as a father would help me learn my lessons in my life. And then we had a discussion about how that would go. And it's not as if these spirits, these souls who we're planning our lives with, are like, ooh, let me hurt them in life. They are actually very apologetic. They try to convince us, like, please don't make me do this to you. I really don't want to hurt you. I love you so much. Because in that plane, there is love. I mean, there is a hierarchy, but there's just love all around. Holly is one who also had issue with this concept of choosing not her parents, because as I said before, her parents are fantastic. They are the poster people for best parents ever, and I'm not joking. If I have a chance to write a book or put them on a poster, her parents would be it, because they are the quintessential perfect parents. Holly chose to have a husband who wasn't so nice to her. And I'm not going to get into details with that because that's Holly's story to tell. But the conversation she and I have had about this is she can't understand why she would have chosen somebody to have physically harmed her so much that, I mean, it broke her for a while. And I said to her, I was like, he didn't want to do it when you were making this agreement before you came to life." And she said, "What do you mean?" And for those of you who don't know, I do have psychic gifts. I meditate and I do readings, not professionally, but I do understand some things on a different level than. So I said to her, that I see them when they made this agreement, and he came to her and said, "I don't want to do this. Are you sure this is what you have to learn?" And one of Holly's patterns, and I will get her permission before I put this in, is where she felt guilt over a little boy in a past life who was basically beaten to death, and she felt guilt over that for many, many, many lifetimes. So she chose this lifetime to come in as a abuse victim. And her ex-spouse in spirit form was very concerned. But long story short with this is they both agreed. And the thing is, and I'll go into timelines and I'll reference back that situation with Holly and her ex in spirit form. It may not have happened if he would have cleared his patterns and aligned with his soul's will before they got married. That marriage would still be together. But that's nothing for Holly to feel bad about. It's nothing for him to feel bad about if he sees this. It's just for him to recognize there are things to work on. Everybody has things to work on. And the reason we plan our lives the way we plan them is specifically to learn. We are not here to judge anybody. So, and I beg of you to please take yourself out of politics, political discussions, religious discussions, anything that polarizes us in any way will bring down our vibration and not allow us to live our highest and best life. So as I said, I grew up Catholic, and abortion was a really big one for me. And when I learned that some spirits only need a certain amount of time in the human form, which includes in utero, and they made an agreement with the mother to terminate before he were born for a specific reason. Maybe that mother needed to experience choice or loss or guilt or control over her own body. I don't know. That showed me, though, that we are not supposed to be judging anybody in this world for any choice they make, anything. We're supposed to live our own path, and we're supposed to help others live their path. And that is why we plan our lives the way we do. We don't plan our lives and say, "Oh, I'm going to, on, May 5th of 2014, I'm going to stand outside and I'm going to judge somebody for having just aborted their child." Like, we don't plan that into our lives. We plan the good stuff. It's our patterns that make us divert into the bad stuff. So as far as life plans, we have a plan that we're going to go from A to B. Now, ordinarily that doesn't happen. And ordinarily, okay, so I had dental work a few weeks ago. I had dental work, and I'm terrified of the dentist. So they gave me the gas and they gave me the Novocaine, and I experienced what I would call the closest thing I could imagine to what we feel like in spirit form planning our lives. Because I literally felt no connection to my life, my body, and I was just kind of there. And I was thinking about my life and everything that was struggling, anything I was having to struggle with in life. And I thought, I can deal with that. That's nothing. Several kids with autism in my house, nothing. Problems with school, I can deal with that. That's not a big deal. I don't have any family, cool, I'll deal with it. And I was perfectly happy. And I clearly remember hearing my guide say to me, "Your job is to love them and live your life, and that's it." So on your life plan, that is all we're supposed to be doing, is loving each other and experiencing life. All right, just a bit more about life plans, because I can hear you asking, well, what about this experience? And what about my job? And was I supposed to marry this person? And are these my kids? And am I supposed to be living where I am? And here's the truth. Our life plans, we plan them to go from A to B. But we always have free will when we come into the body. So even though we may have come into this earth to be a fantastic musician, um, life takes a fantastic musician that might cure some sort of brain disease, and this person's supposed to use music in order to find a cure. I would love for that to happen, by the way. If everyone's doing that, let me know because I'm in. Anyway, so if we're born to do that, we always have free will. So when we get to elementary school and we decide, we might like football better, American football, um, then that person might take a course that veers off what he has planned and go into football rather than music. But at some point, he will keep getting that urge to go back into music. So when you feel that inside of you, like, is this what I should really be doing? I want you to listen inside of you and think, okay, I if it's I need to and I have to be here, those are not your intuition. That is duty on the earth planet. Move that aside. When you get to, I like being here, I want to be here, that it shows you that that's where exactly where you're supposed to be in life. So when we make these life plans, there's always contingencies. Always contingencies. So let's say, again, we'll go back to Holly. Holly got married, and the contingency was if, the people in her life hadn't cleared their patterns yet, the contingency was she was going to experience that abuse and then have to learn to stand on her own 2 feet, which she did, and move along on her own. And she's happy now. So she learned a lot from that. That was one timeline, and the timeline that happened was this one. So now she's on this one, and this one's okay too. There's not a better or worse timeline. This one or this one, you're still going to learn your lessons, and you're still going to get to where you're supposed to be eventually. The key is you need to listen to your intuition and those little tiny nags that go, should I be doing this? Or should I not? Should I be making a different choice? Usually the louder one is the one you should not be doing. All right, so I alluded to this before in number 1, where it was life plans, and you'll see how all these kind of overlap. But soul groups, I think is really neat. It's probably my favorite part about all of this spirituality, is that we don't meet people just at random reasons and random times. We've planned to meet every single person we meet, whether it's a waitress at Starbucks or it's somebody who we've become very close friends with. Every single person we interact with, we have planned that interaction for a reason. And the reason is always based in good and love. So when you are faced with something that challenges you, step back and think, this is a person I plan to meet in my life plan. How can I best show this person love, even if it is just to stay quiet and back away? So our soul groups, not everybody's in the same soul group. Generally, your soul groups are the people that are closest to you, your family, your friends, people you work with, people you interact with a lot. They also could be people that you're also adversarial with. And those are the interesting relationships, because if you're adversarial with somebody, you learn more from those relationships than you do with your best friend. So, like, Holly and I have been tight for almost 30 years now. My mother in law and I have had a difficult relationship. And I realize she's in my life for me to learn things. Probably patience, probably not to say everything that comes into my head and fly right out of my mouth. Probably empathy. I'm also hoping I'm teaching her some things. But you learn more from those adversarial relationships. So people that you interact with a lot, those are your soul groups. I'm going to correct myself here. It is not a soul group that you interact with a lot. It's a soul family that you would interact with a lot. Your soul group is anybody you would meet at any time. Your soul family may not be in your specific biological family, but they are in your soul family on the other side. But those are generally the people you interact with the most, are your soul family. If you feel a special connection with somebody, and it can be anybody, not even somebody you just met, not even somebody you know, somebody who you just identify, like you feel it right here, that person's probably in your soul group. And they're there to show you something about your life, to reflect something on your life. And they were there planning your life with you, and you were helping them plan their life. Cool, huh?